Yesterday we spent the entirety of the day sat outside on the balcony, working, drinking coffee, not doing a lot.
Normally I wouldn't enjoy a whole day working, but it was actually really good to not have to do anything physical. And I drank a lot of coffee.
A lot.
Today we're going to visit Auschwitz, which I think we're both really looking forward to. Now there is a bus that goes directly to the memorial site itself, but I tried to book it yesterday and it was full, so we're getting the train and then walking.
But first, if you remember back to one of our previous videos, we had a little bit of trouble with one of the lenses that we're using, so we need to go and get that repaired. An update on the lens situation. It was actually a lot easier than we were expecting it to be. We're going to get the lens back on Friday, we'll pay on the Friday, and it should be absolutely fine. Now though, we've got about 15 minutes to get to the train station. We need to buy our ticket when we get there, so we're going to make a move.
We're trying to buy a train ticket. I've got this app that a few people have recommended me that apparently you can use to buy tickets, but I can't figure out how to make it work. I also can't figure out how to make this work. This might be a local one, we might have to go into the station. We're gonna go inside. This is confusing. We got tickets, but the queue took ages, so now we're rushing to get our train. We think we found the right train, we're never 100% sure. And now we're hopefully on our way to Auschwitz.
So we just had a bit of a scary moment with the ticket conductor on the train. We thought we'd bought the wrong tickets, but she was actually being really nice and pointing out that our tickets are valid for both the bus and the train. So when we come back from Auschwitz, we don't have to walk all the way to the train station. We can just get the bus from right outside.
And I was reading a book, and then suddenly the conductor comes up to us and starts talking to us in Polish, and we're like, what? And we've pulled in at a station and she just points. So we get off the train and we're like, where do we go? And then she just points down some stairs, so we go down the stairs, not really sure what's going on, and then we see a bus and we're like, oh, and then she points at the bus, so we get on the bus and we think we're going to Auschwitz. It might be a replacement bus, or this might just be the way. Who knows?
We've now arrived in the town of Auschwitz, which I think I'm pronouncing right, and from here we've got about a 20-minute walk to get to Auschwitz. On our way to Auschwitz, we keep seeing a piece of graffiti with 1946 on it. If anybody knows what that means, can you please let us know in the comments? We are actually rushing because we are very late for our slot on the tour, so we need to get there pretty quick. Thankfully, the queue was quick, so we made it into the memorial on time.
Although the site is commonly known as Auschwitz, it's actually split into two separate parts. So Auschwitz I, which is where we are now, is more like a museum, and then Birkenau is actually the place where a lot of the deaths happened, and we'll be heading there after this part of the tour. Also, just to let you know, we really want to be respectful and not kind of film anything we're not supposed to film. So this video might be a bit short and a bit sparse, so sorry about that, but it is something that you just have to respect when you're somewhere like this. The Nazis set up Auschwitz I, this site, pretty soon after they invaded Poland in 1939. We started the tour by walking through the gates of Auschwitz I. This site was used by the Nazis as a mixture between a labour camp and a place to experiment on and humiliate the victims of the Holocaust. The camp was split into different blocks, each with a number. Now they house various exhibitions. Some have been reconstructed to show what life was like for the prisoners. Others have detailed information on the Holocaust and World War II in general. How are you feeling about being here and what you're seeing?
Personally, I don't think that it will really sink in for me until a little bit later on. Because of how shocking it is, it's hard for my brain to really take that in straight away. It's probably with a little bit of hindsight that I'll really understand how I feel about it, because of the fact that it is really shocking to see everything that's here.
I think for me the most hard-hitting was the one which had all of the stuff they found when the Soviets liberated the camps. There was just this room full of human hair, and I learned at school that part of the reason why the Nazis would shave the prisoners' heads is because they would send the hair back to Germany and sell it for a profit, make it into carpets, etc., and even donate it to poor people. But this room full of hair was like the size of a hall. It was absolutely gigantic. And then there was another one full of pots and pans, one full of false legs and shoes, and then a whole room dedicated to children's shoes that were, you know, this big. It's really hard to get your head around the fact that 6 million people died in the Holocaust, because it's a huge number. Most of us can't conceive that amount of people. But seeing those artefacts kind of really hammered home just how many people were affected by this. It was horrific. It's really hard to talk about it because like it's making me like want to cry. Like I don't want to be. Yeah.
After a brief rest to try and process what we'd learned, we took the bus over to Birkenau. This death camp was built for the sole purpose of what the Nazis called solving the Jewish problem. In reality, they committed horrific genocide here. Over 4.5 years and across both sites, they murdered 1.1 million people.
Behind me are the gas chambers in Birkenau, where by the end of the war the Nazis were forcing the prisoners to burn over 40,000 bodies per day. So I don't know if you know, but the Nazis blew everything up in Birkenau when they knew they were losing the war, because they didn't want the rest of the world to find out the atrocities they'd committed here. But you can still see the ruins here. This is their original state. This is how the Soviets found them when they came here at the end of the war. We've just finished looking around both Auschwitz and now Birkenau. Birkenau's a lot different. It's very much as it was. Most of it's ruined, some of it's been reconstructed, but walking around it just really kind of gives you the scale of the enormity of these camps. We're going to do a proper section where we talk about our experiences here later on. We just need some time to process the information because it's been really heavy. So for now, we're going to head over to the train station because we need to catch the last train back to Krakow. So we thought we should film something on our thoughts about Auschwitz because it's such an important topic and an important place.
Going into it, I really didn't understand quite what I expected when visiting Auschwitz. Looking back on it, I really feel like the impact it had on me was very substantial. It's difficult to describe exactly what the experience is like. I just really think everybody should go and experience them for themselves.
I've been to Auschwitz twice. So the first time was about 5 years ago when I did the guided tour, and the second time was with Dale. Obviously we didn't do the guided tour. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what they're both like to help you make up your mind about which option is best for you. So going around without the guided tour was absolutely great because we got to go at our own pace and read all of the information and really take it in. However, the guide that I had when I went had an absolute wealth of information. She was so knowledgeable. She was giving us loads of information that wasn't on the tour, and she also had family who had been in the camps. So she was able to kind of give us that personal story that you definitely wouldn't get through not having a guide. When you get to Birkenau, the site is completely bare. You've seen it on the video, it's very barren. Because there is this lack of information, if you don't already have a good knowledge of what happened during World War II, you might struggle to really get the most out of it. Whereas if you have the time to read all the information and go around all the sites in Auschwitz I, and you also already have a good working knowledge of what happened in World War II, it might be best to go without a guide. So there are good points for both of them. It really just depends on your personal preference. We just went without a guide this time because we wanted the chance to see everything, and I'd already had the guided tour, so it was good to do it in a different way.
Thank you so much for watching this video. We really hope that it was, I don't want to say enjoyable.
Informative.
Yeah, informative. If you've been to Auschwitz before, please leave us a comment below of what your experiences were like.